They told me there was no room for me at Christmas. They never expected the child standing beside her. I came back to my hometown 3 days before Christmas, carrying only one bag and a heart that felt heavier than it should. The bus dropped me near the old road, the one that led past frozen fields and silent houses. Snow covered the ground in thin white lines, like someone had tried to erase the past but failed. Everything looked smaller than I remembered. The air smelled sharp and cold. My breath came out in short clouds as I walked. Christmas lights blinked from windows, warm and bright, but none of them felt like they were meant for me. Laughter spilled from houses, families gathering, doors opening and closing. I kept my head down. I hadn't planned to come back. Not after the phone call. "There's no room for you this year," my brother had said, his voice flat, almost bored. "Mom says it's better if you don't come. Things are full." Full. That was the word he used. No room for me at Christmas. No room for my past. No room for what they did. I told myself I didn't care, but my chest had tightened when the call ended. Christmas had always been about family, even when it hurt. Especially when it hurt. As I walked farther, the town slowly disappeared behind me. The road narrowed, and the old farm came into view. The same farm I used to dream about. The same place I once thought I would grow old in. The wooden fence was still there, slightly broken, leaning like it was tired of standing. The barn looked older, paint peeling, but strong. A soft light glowed from the farmhouse windows, yellow and gentle against the grey sky. That's when I saw her. Sarah stood near the fence, brushing snow from the wood with her bare hand. She wore a long brown coat, worn at the edges. Her hair was tied back, just like it used to be when she worked outside. For a moment, I thought my mind was playing tricks on me. 7 years vanished in 1 second. My feet stopped moving, but my heart didn't. It pounded hard, fast, like it was angry at me for coming back. I hadn't said her name in years, but it was still alive inside me. "Sarah," I said, my voice quiet, almost afraid. She turned slowly, as if she already knew who it was. When she saw me, her eyes widened. Her lips parted, but no words came out at first. "Ethan," she whispered, like she was saying a memory, not a person. We stood there, staring at each other, the cold forgotten. Snowflakes drifted down between us, soft and silent. Her face looked thinner, more serious, but her eyes were the same. Deep. Tired. Familiar. "I didn't expect to see you," she said finally. "I didn't expect to come back," I replied. The words felt strange, like they belonged to someone else. Behind her, the farmhouse looked warm and alive. It hurt to look at it. That house was once a promise. A future we talked about late at night, lying under old blankets, dreaming of a life far away from judgment and lies. "I heard you were gone," she said, folding her arms. "I was," I answered. "I didn't think I'd ever return." She nodded slowly, avoiding my eyes. There was something heavy in her silence. Something unfinished. The past pressed in on me. The love. The fights. The night everything broke apart. I wanted to ask 100 questions, but none of them felt safe. "What happened to us?" I asked softly. Her shoulders stiffened. She looked away toward the house. "Some things are better left in the past," she said. But the way her voice shook told me she didn't believe that. The wind blew harder, cutting through my coat. I suddenly felt like a stranger in my own life. I looked at her one last time and realized something painful. Coming back wasn't a mistake. It was the beginning of something I had never truly escaped. We walked slowly along the wooden fence, our boots crunching softly in the snow. The sound felt too loud in the quiet evening, like it might break something fragile between us. The sky had turned a pale grey, and the sun was sinking behind the trees, leaving long shadows across the frozen ground. "I heard you left the country," Sarah said without looking at me. "I did," I replied. "After everything happened, it felt like the only way to breathe." She nodded once, her jaw tight. "You always ran when things got heavy." The words stung, but I didn't argue. Maybe she was right. Or maybe she didn't know the whole truth. "I came back," I said quietly. "I waited. You never showed." She stopped walking and turned to face me. Her eyes flashed, not with anger, but with hurt that had been buried too long. "I didn't know you were waiting," she said. "By the time I understood what your family had done, You were already gone. The cold crept into my gloves, but I barely felt it. 7 years ago rushed back like a wave I had tried to drown. I remembered standing in the rain outside my parents' house, my mother's voice sharp and cold. I remembered the lies they told me about Sarah, how she had chosen someone else, how she didn't want me anymore. I remembered leaving town with a broken heart, believing I had been replaced. I thought you left me, I said. Sarah closed her eyes for a moment. And I thought you abandoned me. Silence fell again, heavy and thick. We started walking once more, slower now. The farmhouse light flickered as someone moved inside. I tried not to look at it, but my eyes kept drifting back. You look tired, I said softly. Different. She gave a small, sad smile. Life doesn't ask before it takes things from you. Her hands were red from the cold. I noticed how she kept rubbing them together, like she was nervous. Do you live here alone? I asked. Yes, she said quickly. Too quickly. Before I could respond, a soft laugh floated through the cold air. A child's laugh. Light. Innocent. Sarah froze. The sound hit me like a punch. My heart skipped. That sounded like, I began. It's nothing, she interrupted, her voice tight. Probably the wind. But the wind doesn't laugh. The silence that followed was painful. I watched her face, the way her lips pressed together, the way her eyes darted toward the house and back to me. Sarah, I said gently, is there something you're not telling me? She shook her head, but her shoulders trembled. You shouldn't be here, Ethan. Her words felt like a wall rising between us again. I'm staying in town for Christmas, I said after a moment. She looked at me sharply. Why? I hesitated, then told her the truth. My family says there's no room for me. The words tasted bitter as I spoke them. Her face drained of color. She looked like she might cry, or scream, or do both at once. Instead, she wrapped her arms around herself. They said the same thing once, she whispered. I frowned. What do you mean? She shook her head again, harder this time. You should go. Please. I wanted to argue, to demand answers, but something in her eyes stopped me. Fear. Not of me, but of what might come out if she spoke. I never stopped caring, I said quietly. She looked at me then, really looked at me, and for a second the years melted away. I know, she said. That's what makes this so hard. I turned to leave, my heart aching in ways I hadn't expected. As I walked away, I heard that soft laugh again, clearer this time. I didn't look back. But I knew one thing for sure. The past wasn't finished with either of us. On Christmas Eve, my phone rang while I was sitting alone in a small motel room. The heater made a weak humming sound, and the window was fogged from my breath. I almost didn't answer. It was my mother. Ethan, she said softly, too softly. You should come tonight. We are all here. There's room now. I almost laughed. Almost. An hour later, I stood outside my childhood home. The house looked the same, dressed up in lights and decorations, pretending nothing had ever been broken inside. Cars filled the driveway. Voices and music leaked through the walls. When I stepped in, conversations paused. My brother avoided my eyes. My mother hugged me too tightly, like she was afraid I might say something. The table was full. Food everywhere. Smiles that didn't quite reach anyone's eyes. Then the doorbell rang. The sound cut through the room like a sharp breath. I'll get it, my brother said quickly, standing up. When he opened the door, his face went pale. Sarah stood there. Snow clung to her coat. Her face was calm, steady, stronger than I had ever seen it. Beside her stood a small boy, holding her hand. He looked up at the lights, then at the people inside, curious and unafraid. My heart stopped. This is Noah, Sarah said, her voice clear. He's 7. The room fell silent. No one moved. No one spoke. He's Ethan's son, she continued. My mother's hand flew to her mouth. My brother stepped back like he had been struck. The world felt unreal. My ears rang. I couldn't breathe. Sarah looked at my family, not with anger, but with calm truth. I tried to tell him years ago. I came here. I begged. You told me the baby would destroy his future. You told me I wasn't welcome. You paid me to leave. My mother sank into a chair. I felt something inside me crack open. Not anger. Not hate. Something deeper. Sarah turned to me then. Her eyes softened. I never stopped you from knowing. They did. I dropped to my knees in front of Noah. He studied my face carefully, like he was trying to solve a puzzle. Mama says you're brave, he said quietly. Tears burned my eyes. I'm sorry I wasn't there, I whispered, though I didn't know if he understood. He smiled. I stood and looked at my family. The people who had said there was no room for us. The people who stole 7 years of my life. You didn't just push me away, I said calmly. You erased me. No one replied. I took Sarah's hand. Then Noah's. We are leaving, I said. As we walked toward the door, my mother cried out, Please. I didn't turn back. Outside, the snow was falling harder now, covering everything in quiet white. The cold air filled my lungs, clean and honest. Sarah stood beside me, Noah between us. I didn't come for revenge, she said softly. I came for truth. I nodded. Sometimes, truth is enough. We walked away together, our footprints fading behind us. Behind us, the door closed. And for the first time in 7 years, I felt like I was exactly where I belonged.